Aaron, I've been waiting a week to ask you this. What was with the feather in the cap? How did that happen?
I just found it on the ground and didn't think it was going to stick around the entire practice, but yeah, I just found it on the ground, put it on my helmet.
So it's not a lucky feather. We're ever seeing it again?
No. Unless somebody, unless some animal drops a different type of feather on the field, yeah.
Thank you for providing the answer.
You're welcome.
What do you get out of a vet rest day at this point, and what kind of goes into that decision for you?
I told Matt, I said, I'm never going to ask for a vet day, but I think I am the oldest player on the team, and if he was, thinking about it, this week being probably the most difficult week with Sunday indoors and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday pads, basically, that I wouldn't mind it. That being said, the work that goes on in the Hudson Center when they're outside is probably more strenuous than the practice, so not exactly a vet day when it comes to the cardio.
How important is it for Jordan to get these first team reps, especially in the preseason?
Well, I think a lot of good has happened from, me breaking my toe last year gave him a lot of opportunities to take the 1 reps in practice. But as much as in this year, you've seen the fundamentals really start to kind of come together. Year 3, 2 to 3 is always an interesting year from development for a quarterback. I know I took a big jump, 1 to 2 and 2 to 3. But Tom Clements, I think, deserves a lot of credit for harping on the fundamentals in the way that he always did for me as a young player. And it seems to be sticking in for Jordan. And he's been having some good practices, and any chance he gets to take, the majority of the reps like today is always a good opportunity.
How much for someone like you that obviously knows the position at a very high level, can you tell that he's maybe made a jump? How much are you just waiting to see when he's not in that red jersey and it's actually how much do you need to see?
Well, I've said it before. I think the practice reps are as important as the preseason reps. Preseason, you want to be efficient, you want to look good, but there's almost an expectation of playing well because it's very limited defense usually. Now, we used to play Tennessee back in the day, and they played their starters. That was more of a game-like situation. We usually got hammered, our second and third teams playing against them. But it's a lot more vanilla on defense. So I think the practice reps, a day like today, is good film for them to watch going against our 1 defense. Obviously, it's been very difficult for us throughout training camp. But it just comes down to consistency with the fundamentals. When he throws the ball on time and in rhythm, he's been very accurate this camp. It's just finding ways to be more consistent, every single time with those fundamentals. And it's been, I feel like it's been kicking in for him. He's been playing well.
Aaron, a big night for the twos, obviously, on Friday night. It's the biggest week for the ones when you go live periods with Saints for 2 days.
Yeah.
Is that the most you're going to get out of this camp?
I think it's every day that we go against our ones. I said it day 1, no pads. We had a pretty good day. Since then, defense has been pretty good just about every other day. And it's important for us to take our lumps because there's a lot of positions that are up for grabs. Up front, at the tackle position with Dave and Elton, nursing their injuries and coming back whenever they can. Tight end, there's a lot of opportunities. Running back behind AJ and Aaron, there's a lot of opportunities. Receiver, a lot of opportunities. So this is great film and great practice going against that defense. Saints will be interesting. You never know what you're going to get. When we played the Texans a couple years ago, it was very basic stuff. I remember a period in the red zone, they were dropping 8 like every single play. I'm like, what are we doing here? Are we actually getting some work in? But then last year against the Jets, I feel like it was pretty intense. They ran some different stuff. That was maybe the familiarity with Coach Sala and Coach LaFleur. But we'll see what happens. The Saints, and Dennis, they've been very aggressive defense, so we'll see how they play in the 2 days we're together. Hopefully we don't have a lot of fights, but I would assume there's going to be a couple.
What is the process like when you are building a relationship with a new receiver that maybe you haven't spent a lot of time with?
Process? Well, you got to trust the coaching first and foremost. So I need to have a lot of conversations with Jason and make sure we're on the same page so the thing that's being taught is the thing that I want to see on the field. Jason does a really good job at that, which is important. You got to trust the leaders in the room, specifically Randall and Allen, to pass the message along the right way, and then you got to hold them accountable. And when you get reps with us, you want to see the right stuff. That being said, you're going to coach the second team and the third team just as much, because you never know who's going to be in that spot. Alan Lazard was working in the yellow group for a while, and you're watching that film just like you're watching the green group and the first group. We need to see consistency from those guys, and there's a lot of different aspects to earning the trust of the quarterback, whether I'm playing or Jordan's playing in the preseason here. You want to see the guys doing the right stuff, and it's little things. It's the stem on the routes. It's what they're doing at the top of the route. It's a scramble drill. It's the adjustments. It's being alert for the signals. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it, and we're going to be hard on them and coach them hard. And if I'm talking to a guy, that's a good thing. If I'm getting on a guy, it's a good thing. If I'm not talking to you, that's not the best. You want me to be critiquing and coaching you up and giving you some good feedback, and I've been trying to with as many guys as I feel like have an opportunity to be a part of this squad.
With all that said about all the opportunities on offense, how good things are on that side of the ball, Matt hasn't shut the door yet on preseason snaps potentially in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Do you see any need or any benefit of you playing in the preseason at all, considering how new things are on that side?
I don't see any benefit to it. I definitely don't see any benefit to playing one series. If we're going to play, we should play. And play a quarter, a couple series, 2 or 3 series. If we're going to just suiting up for 4 plays, to me, is a waste. So, and I'm not saying this to send a message to Matt. I've already told Matt the same thing. So we'll see what happens when we get there. It'd be nice if that were the case, if Kansas City was playing some of the guys too. But, when you have a stinker like we did last year in week 1, there's always going to be the second guessing of what happened in training camp. Should we have played more? Should we have played in the first game, the second game, whatever it might be. I don't want to overreact to that. Matt doesn't either. But if we feel like we need to go out there and play a quarter or more, that'll be Matt's call. I'm sure he'll lean on me and Big Dog and Alan and some of the older guys to see what they're thinking. But if we play, we should play, and not just play 3 plays, 3 runs, and punt it. That doesn't do anything for any of us.
The point of that last year was to preserve your bodies for the full season. So we had the stinker in week 1, in the top seed. Would you say that plan worked out as the way it was supposed to? Even is it worth sacrificing week 1 to get ready good?
That's the question. There's injuries in football all the time. So I think it's kind of a no-win situation to the outside the building. If somebody gets hurt, I can't believe they played our guys. But if we go out and have a stinker, I can't believe they didn't play them.
Right.
So I think you just got to do what's best for the squad. And Matt's going to do that. He's going to lean on the leaders of the football team. And if he feels like we need to go out and play, then we'll go out and play. But I don't want to just go out and play 3 plays. That to me is a waste of time.
Back to your receivers, is there an ideal number for you for how many you'll carry on the roster?
No, I don't think so. I think we need to have the 53 most deserving players on the team. There's been years we've kept 5 tight ends. There's been years we've kept 7 receivers. Years we've kept 4 or 5 backs. It's got to be the 53 most deserving. Now there's obviously some stuff that goes into that, where guys are drafted, different things like that, which we know in Green Bay plays into it. But there'll be some tough cuts, which is good. There'll be some tough cuts at a number of different positions. Receiver, with the way Rich is doing things, we need guys who are playing teams at that 4, 5, and 6 receiver spot. So whoever's balling out on teams should probably get those 4, 5, and 6 spots.
When you're doing like those 5, 6, 7 spots, what can those guys do with you to sort of separate themselves?
Well, they're not going to be playing with me a whole lot. So they got to ball out when they get opportunities and listen and pay attention and do things the right way. The drops are going to happen. The guy slips might happen. But what can happen if you want to be on the team is the mental part. The preparation, I think, and the effort. Those are things that come from within. So as long as you're showing effort and you're getting after it and you're doing the right thing, you got a good chance to make the team. But 4, 5, 6, 7's got to be playing on teams and got to be playing well.
Aaron talks a lot about what they need to do. What happened? Like 4 years ago, I don't know if I've ever seen you as pissed as you were at the receivers that day. You ran the cards, and you said that their effort was piss poor, and Jake was the only one that really did stuff. Has this group been good about doing the things they need to do, or is there a lot of room for improvement? I mean, maybe you're with everything that's changed, maybe you're softer now. You wouldn't say that about this group like you did that one, but it seems like they've been better than that group was.
That group had some lapses in effort from time to time, and I probably am a little gentler, as Kabi would say, but the effort hasn't really been an issue. The mental part, for sure, there's been some real strange mental errors from time to time, but they do it quickly. They do it with speed. That day, as I remember, it was just a total lack of effort, which was bizarre to me because I love the Carter periods, and it's a chance to go out and dice them up with other people's plays and the ad lib and just go full speed and make some plays. These guys, they busted. They for sure busted, and they're all talented athletically, but mentally there's been some lapses for sure. A lot of it's great. I was sitting down at lunch with Romeo yesterday, and there are a couple plays that he would love to have back, and I said it's the best thing that could happen, because I'd rather it happen on a Monday in August than on a game day in September. He had a play where he was supposed to let Ja go and block probably 59, who was coming out on a blitz. He went to get Ja. It looked really bad. And I'm like, this is the best thing that could happen. Now, how do we correct that is the next time the situation comes up, we got to do the right thing. But mistakes are going to happen. And the most important thing is to learn from those mistakes, not make repeat mistakes. There's been too many of those, I think, from some of those guys who are really on the bubble to make the squad of scramble drill alerts and making sure the signals and the adjustments, kind of like expecting those things. But that's a process. First you got to be an expert of what you're doing, and then be able to feel the timing of the adjustments or the cans or what I might be thinking or how to read a coverage. And that's why I said in the beginning we need to have a lot of patience, and the expectations need to be reasonable. But I will say, between 88 and 87, there's been a lot of positive things that makes you feel good about the depth we could have in that room.
After that first day, you mentioned that the defense is going to kick your butt. You know that. At what point do you want the offense to start turning the tables there?
I don't know if we're going to. I mean, they're a talented bunch. I'd like to stalemate every day, and I think that's possible. It starts with up front. Yesterday, I felt like the energy up front was not. I mean, from the entire group, we were just a little bit gassed for whatever reason. Sometimes that happens after a hard indoor practice where you kind of come out and maybe a little more tired that day. Who knows if maybe guys didn't sleep well the night before or whatever the issues were. We didn't have the energy that we usually do up front. But when we're getting after it up front and running the ball well, which we have on certain days, it allows us to get after them a little bit in the passing game. But we got 3 really talented corners. We got 2 backers who can really fly. So it's going to be tight windows in the passing game. We got a bunch of young guys playing. But I feel like if we run the ball effectively, we have a few days where I feel like we've really gotten after them up front. That's good for us. But I want us to take our lumps. And if we're taking our lumps this training camp, it's going to be probably a little easier once we get to the real thing.
Jordan, one of the looks like that the defense is winning most days. You're okay with the progress.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important. How we deal with adversity is how we reveal the character of our football team, especially on offense. And we need to take our lumps and figure out what kind of football team we're going to be. So I love it. I mean, it's great. I mean, it feels good. The defense having confidence. There's been some training camps we beat the hell out of them, and doesn't do great for their confidence. But when they're confident and Joe is opening up the playbook and running a bunch of crazy stuff at us, it's great because we'd love to see, from an offense standpoint, be aggressive as you possibly can. And we'll take care of our business, but you guys be aggressive and attack. And when it looks good against us, I think it's going to look good against other people too.
So Jordan, that young offensive line, can it get to where, because you keep saying you don't have 69, you don't have 74. You also don't have Lucas Patrick. You also don't have Billy Turner, who were veteran guys who played a ton of games.
Yep.
There's a bunch of young guys up there. If you had to go into Minnesota on September 11th with them, how far can they get between now and then, if that's what you have to go with?
Yeah, we'd have to really be smart about how we're playing in that situation. We've done it before. We've played against San Fran multiple times with not our starters off the edge, and sometimes done a nice job and sometimes struggled. So I think that there's definitely some spots open. There could be interest in people not in the building right now. I'm not sure. I haven't talked to Goody about that, but we need to see those guys step up and somebody take it over. I feel good about Yash. He's played a lot of football for us. Royce has been working at guard and tackle. He's a smart dude. I feel like he's been playing more underneath himself with his feet in a better base. But we need consistency out of those guys. Those guys are going to play too. They're all young guys. They're going to play in the preseason, and we need to see them play well and have some really good moments. So we feel good going into Minnesota and that pass rush that they got.
Friday night, Jordan will be in the spotlight. Has he gone through as much ridicule or criticism or doubt that you did from 05 to 08?
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, I think there's always pressure on a first-round pick. The tracks are looking more similar by the day. Him being in his third year and me waiting behind Brett for 3 years. Something clicks in at some point, and the game slows down, and you make the plays that you know you're capable of making. And I look forward to watching him on Friday and against the Saints as well. But the most important thing for a quarterback is that confidence, and the confidence comes from the consistency and the fundamentals and making plays in practice and feeling good about the offense and all the things that are expected of you. But I think all of us come along at our own pace. I needed the years to get to where I was at, and whether the criticism was equal in 05 and 6 and 7 for me as it was for him, I don't know. Some of that you kind of move past as you've had success, but I'm excited for him this preseason. I think he's had a really nice camp, made some good throws, more consistent with his fundamentals, and I hope he goes out and balls out.
Aaron, yesterday you hit Allen on a real quick hitter of the seam in the face of pressure. This thing you guys want to get, it seems like you guys used to hit that quite a bit against blitzes, dogs and stuff, but it didn't seem really prevalent the last couple of years. Is that something you're trying to... Well,
we don't see a lot of pressure anymore. I mean, we really don't. We don't see a lot of that type of pressure. We'd love to do that. I mean, that's part of the offense. There's been a lot of those over the years to Donald and Greg and Cobby and Jordy against Minnesota. It was a great one that went for about 70 for a touchdown. But, our defense has been aggressive, and it's nice, and it forces us to stress our protection adjustments and schemes, and sometimes you got to hit that vertical hot. So, but teams, if you watch the games, we're not seeing a bunch of pressure. We're seeing some 5-man on line scrimmage pressure, but we're not seeing a lot of second level stuff. Not a lot of backers, occasional nickel off the slot, but we just don't see the same type of pressure, so we're not getting the same type of opportunities. We get maybe 3 or 4 times a year, but back in the day, teams being a little more aggressive against us, we had more chances.
Here, based on your experience when you were a backup, is it more important to follow the plays to the letter, or is it more important to move the ball by hook or crook, given, you're playing with some guys that might not be doing the right assignments? And what do you think the coaches look for more?
That's a good question. I think the scrutinizers want to see movement and points and scoring drives for sure. I believe the coaches would want to see perfection in execution, and that comes from a mastery of the system. And I think that's the most important thing. So sometimes we get caught up in, big plays or points on a drive. Those are great and those feel good, but the most important thing is, are you making the right can? You're making the right check. You're making the right adjustment. You're getting us in and out of the huddle. You're commanding the operation. Because preseason football is different. You're out there a lot of times with young guys. You need to over-communicate. Some wild stuff happens. Some guys miss blocks. Some guys run the wrong way. Obviously, there's an art to making that work. But the most important thing is a mastery of the position, because that shows the coaches and your guys that you're you're ready to go. Again, practice is very important, and you need to show a mastery in practice as well. The games, there's some survival to it. Obviously, you want to score points, but I think it still comes down to are you showing the staff that you have the mastery of all things quarterback.